Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mystery Sports Podcast. Back today with another video. So today mainly is going to be about Bruno Fernandes possibly moving to Saudi, and obviously Big Ange is back, season 3 incoming. Let's have it. So obviously let's move on. Obviously straight away, Bruno Fernandes reports today saying Bruno Fernandes could be moving to Saudi Arabia in the up and coming summer. Obviously his contract does run out soon. I think he's got a year left, and with that, a lot of obviously speculation this summer with Bruno Fernandes. So he does have obviously Saudi clubs interested in him. Barcelona were showing interest in him. However, I do believe that Bruno Fernandes will be going to a Saudi club. So Al Hilal are probably the favourites to possibly get the Portuguese. Obviously, as a United fan, I would be down. Obviously, I want him to stay at the club, and obviously, I know he does get his critics, and it is deserved at some points. Because I criticise him this season, obviously against Fulham, because I think their goal was definitely down to Bruno Fernandes' mistake of not tracking Emil Smith Rowe. Well, I just want to talk about how I feel like a lot of United fans and a lot of people, especially Man City fans, they do. Um, they tend to just dislike Bruno Fernandes, and I don't know why they dislike Fernandes. I mean, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, but considering Bruno Fernandes when he joined in January 2020 at Man United, he's obviously made 294 appearances, 99 goals, and 86 assists. That basically means in two of every three games he plays, he either scores or gets an assist. And I think that's pretty amazing from Fernandes. Like, I mean, you can't argue more. I mean, another stat here is that he's created 138 more chances than any other Premier League player since his debut. You've got him on 512, and in second is KDB on 374 chances created for obviously goals and etc. I I believe that Bruno, he, a lot of people just don't like him because I feel like he annoys the away supporters, especially, or the opposition team that United are playing. So, for example, I mean, against Man City, you could see last year when obviously Bruno had his pen, he missed that massive chance, massive chance in the first half or second, just before he scored his penalty. Uh, um, um, one second, sorry. And then you get Bruno obviously misses that big chance, and obviously all the City fans are on his back and stuff, and then he goes and scores that penalty, and I think he just silences the crowd, and that's what I love about Bruno, and I don't know why a lot of United fans can't see that kind of positive that Bruno brings to our side. I think a lot of like since he's joined United in 2020, there's no Cam has has had better numbers than him. De Bruyne, I know obviously there's different levels to De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes. However, I do think, let's say if you reverse the roles, Bruno Fernandes is in that Man City side. I think he does arguably as well. The quality that Bruno possesses, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, the stats don't lie, do they? You can have you can play 294 appearances for the United, 99 goals and 88 assists. So I think if he does the same in Man City, he's going to get probably not double, but probably double the assist because look at the players that Man City have had over the years and how clinical they've been, like Aguero, um, Haaland, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan when he was in his prime, and and Foden obviously when obviously he was scoring goals for fun. I mean, I personally love him. I think you can tell I obviously love Bruno, and I'm always going to be biased to Bruno. I'm always going to think he's better than De Bruyne. However, looking back on it really now, growing up and things, I do think obviously De Bruyne gives you that excellence and that kind of control on the ball, just make it and always getting those passes right. I think Bruno, he does the same. However, he does tend to make those mistakes, and I think De Bruyne didn't make as many mistakes as Bruno has. However, I think obviously there's another side to that, and I think obviously Bruno playing in a weakened United side, and you can tell by the amount of goals we've scored in the past few years and just the way that we've conceded some shocking goals, really. Obviously, not just down to Bruno, but down to other players' mistakes. Like, for example, your keeper. Obviously, everyone knows Onana's and how many mistakes he's made. But I do think Bruno. if he does end up going to Saudi Arabia this summer, I mean, I'd be deeply upset because I do rate him as a player, and I would arguably say, and probably comfortably say that Bruno Fernandes could go down as a legend at United. I know it's a bold statement, only because he's only ever won a Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, but I think the coming in January 2020 and what he's done for our club, it's fantastic. And I know he throws his arms around, complains to the ref, moans to all the players and whatever. However, I just think it's just a sign that he cares about the club. He not only does he, I think if he weren't doing that kind of things and he was just staying quiet on the pitch or whatever, he wasn't getting the ref's face or whatever he might have been doing and complaining. I think a lot of people would be like, "How can he be our captain? He's not even standing up for any of the players. He's not trying to challenge a decision or something like that." I think it just shows that he cares about the club. And I think at the moment with United, and especially the period that we're going through, I think if you have players that care and want to play for the badge, I think with Amarin as well, because I think he 100% cares and he definitely wants to help United get back to the top. You have those kind of influences in the dressing room. I think United could easily change that kind of negative culture that they've had over the past few seasons under like Van Gaal, Ten Hag, Mourinho, Ollie. I mean, to be fair with Ollie, it was kind of a different situation. I think Ollie's was out of his depth coming to his end of his tenure at United. Obviously, there's a lot of people who obviously will disagree with me, and I understand why people disagree because they see Bruno in a negative way by chucking his arms out and stuff. But the way that Bruno does, um, like the way he gets the ball and just creates those chances for United, and especially like against Burnley. Obviously, I know that obviously the result should have been much better in United for United, even though we won. But you could tell when he was playing those passes out, Bruno just looked an amazing footballer. Well, just that amazing player that he is, and everyone knows that because you see it all the time. I guarantee you this Sunday, obviously coming up the Manchester derby, Bruno will definitely have a huge influence in the game from a United's perspective. And I think obviously I will do a preview to that game. Obviously, massive game for just not only just myself, but obviously for my friends as well, and for the Premier League. Really, obviously, if United go and win that, City have lose three on the bounce, and obviously could be possibly 15th. I think it is. I think they could be lower if they do lose and other teams win around them. Obviously, it's for another video though. But yeah, obviously, I would be sad if Bruno did leave to Saudi, and if these stories are true. Obviously, they are just speculation at the moment, but I just think if he was to leave right now, I think his stats and the way he's played for United, I would definitely be thankful for him. And honestly, I think there's no Bruno Fernandes. I don't know what else we would do or how we would be scoring these chances and creating these many chances. Really, obviously, I know we've got Cunha and Mbemo now, but without Bruno, the past couple of seasons, we could have been nowhere. And I think Bruno's carried us through a lot of periods, especially I think Bruno Fernandes last year, without Bruno, we'd been relegated 100%. 100% we would have been relegated if Bruno wasn't part of our squad. I'm not saying something, and I mean, I'm always going to back United and say we're never going to be relegated or whatever. But last year was so poor. I think if we didn't have Bruno, we easily could have been relegated. But yeah, see enough about Bruno. Probably the biggest story of the day. Nuno Espirito Santos sacked as Nottingham Forest manager late last night, I think about 11 o'clock ish. And then literally this morning, forget Fabrizio Romano going, here we go, Big Ange's back to the Premier League. Forest manager now, officially done. Big Ange Postecoglou, season 3 is well and truly alive now. I get it's with a new club, but Big Ange is back. I think Ange was very unlucky to lose his job at Spurs. Obviously, winning the first trophy in 15 years, amazing for the club, for them, obviously to get back into Champions League football and to obviously get a trophy underneath their belt. And financially as well, they can obviously spend a bit more in the transfer windows and stuff, as seen with Kudus and who did it, Javi Simmons. So obviously, Ange back. What can we expect? I think we'll expect this fast kind of football that used to play at Spurs. See, I didn't watch Spurs week in week out. However, from the highlights that I've seen of obviously watching them when they played against United, they are very like a bit like Manchester City, and I think he admitted that on Sky Sports where he said, he studies Pep jokingly. I think Ange could definitely help Forest. However, I do think on Nuno's behalf, I think it's very harsh on him. Obviously, Nuno said in a press conference on Sky that the relationship between him and the owner, Mayanakis, obviously wasn't as well as it been in previous months. And I think ultimately that's probably what's led to them or Ianaka's um, sacking Nuno. I think especially like you can't argue Nuno. They're in the Europa League. Sorry, they're obviously playing very good football. They've got a great squad. Chris Wood's on fire half the time. Obviously, they've lost Alanga, but they've still got world class players there like Milenkovic, Anina, obviously Wood, Morgan Gibbs White, who's arguably one of the most um, or arguably the most current on form player right now for English youth talent to obviously getting into that England squad and that World Cup squad. And I think with Ange obviously there, I think he probably will get a lot out of sorry, he will get a lot out of Morgan Gibbs White. I think he would be some kind of Madison in this situation. I could see like Morgan Gibbs White just literally influencing the entire game for Nottingham Forest, as well as I think also, Anina could definitely benefit from this. Could play sort of like a or even Milenkovic could also, play sort of a Van de Ven role, like a big, powerful striker striving this big, powerful centre half striving forward and obviously going in and playing that ball quickly into the midfield areas or out wide on the flanks. Obviously, it will be interesting to see what happens with Ange Postecoglou, obviously at Nottingham Forest. I think personally, obviously, I would have probably stuck with Nuno Espirito Santos because I mean he's done a fantastic job. But obviously, I'm not Mayanakis, and obviously he's made that decision there. So obviously, it will be interesting to see what happens. Um, and yeah, I mean that's really it for today. Just those little quick two topics there. Obviously this week, obviously is the Manchester derby, biggest game of the weekend. I will do a probably Friday. I'll probably do a preview on that, and then obviously on Monday we'll do a weekend roundup of what's happened on in the Premier League, in other sports, cricket, golf, anything that is happening. I think darts is back as well soon. But yeah, thank you all for watching. See you on a bit.